Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus. This is Sunday morning. I believe it's the 28th of June. And I'm broke. A Sunday morning where millions are going to be, in one form or fashion or another, directing their attention to the Spirit of God as they understand it to be. And it is a sad statement that the way they understand it to be is so radically inappropriate and just downright wrong. Well, that's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't have to bite my tongue about it. I don't have to second guess myself about it. I don't have to wonder what you're thinking about it, because it does not matter what you are thinking about it, because the evidence is all around us. The evidence, once again, is all around us. So what we know about God doesn't mean a thing. And I know what you're doing with your knowledge of God. The first thing it told you to do was to assume or just claim that you got it right and everybody else got it wrong. Now, I want you to imagine 1,000 churches believing that, each one of them believing that they're the one that got it right, and the other 999 got it wrong. Can you see them ever coming together in unity? Can you ever see them unifying the concept of God? Can you? Well, no, you can't. But let me say something to you, ladies and gentlemen. Why is that? That is because the people who talk about God do not know God. Somebody came up with a presentation. You know how they are done. Macbeth, the Fantastic Four. It takes a thief. They come up with it, ladies and gentlemen. And let's say that that represented a blind person. I mean, a person who literally could not see. That represented that person. And then someone came along, and for some strange reason, and it was strange or miraculous, however you want to look at it, this person's eyes opened, and this person began to see. And you found out that the things that you thought were not necessarily are. And you can see clearly and can understand, perhaps now more than ever before, why things are like they are. And so you create an amount of empathy and compassion, and all of those who are just like you were, got it all together. What are you to do? Why were your eyes open? Why are you able to see? What benefit do you have now with your sight that you didn't have before? Probably everybody else is in that same boat. I better get back over here. I got to talk to the shadows now, ladies and gentlemen. In my church over there, in the space. Yeah, I got to get back over there. I'll tell you why later. Anyway, so this is the church that people are going to this Sunday morning. They're going to be listening to this, and they're going to be listening to that. Now, some might ask, what is the business of the church? Well, then most people will refer to the Bible, especially if you're a Christian, and they'll talk about Jesus telling Peter upon this rock, and Lord knows what this rock means. Whatever you want to fill in, I guess. Whatever you want to substitute. Upon this rock, I build my church. But I tell you this, if what he built the church upon was what we have in America today, if what he built faith upon is representative of what we have in the world today, if that's it, whoa, it was a poor job. So I'm thinking, if a power can open eyes and do such miracles, things like that, then it must not be that power that is off the mark. It must be something else. Yeah, I think it's something else. So what am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying that, well, maybe I'll just go on and tell you what the role of the church. The church represents those who God has touched, those that are one with God, and they become agents of God. What is God? God is love. The earth exists because of love. We exist on the earth because of love. Now, how we exist on this earth will be determined by how we understand love. And without God, you don't understand love. Without God, it's dog eat dog. It's dog eat dog. You've seen on TV or someplace two vicious animals, and they run across each other's path and they can't stand each other. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think that kind of do that focus when we have kickboxing or even heavyweight boxing. And it's that same viciousness, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman going at it. Hey, dog eat dog. Now, just think about it. If you say dog eat dog and one get all of the prize and the other loser gets nothing. Wow. But then you can get more challengers if you can say even the loser gets something. So that entices people to play the game. And so that's why we got poor, not so poor, a little better off, enticing people to play the game. Say that the possibilities are for you to move on up the line. That's the game being played. It's really an affront. It's really an affront to sight. But it is a representation of the truth as well. Like Donald Trump comes along and people say he's sent from God. Well, in a sense, that is true. But the way they are meaning that he's an angelic host coming to deliver us from all of our evil. Well, no, what it really did, it came with more evil. And it didn't, the reason and how, the only way it came from God is through us. Donald Trump, is a result of the seed that we plant. Donald Trump is a result of who we are. That's the only way Donald Trump became president of the United States. We are Donald Trump. We, all that we are. Now, each of us not that bad. But when you take all of us together, whites and blacks and everybody else, old and young and southerners and easterners and westerners, when you put it all together, all of our ugliness, that's Donald Trump. Now, when you look at Donald Trump, that's the totality of us all. Yes, it is. That's us. But we don't want to see it like that. We just want to see it as Donald Trump. You see, as long as we see it as Donald Trump, we want to persecute him. We want to get on and stomp his neck, be the same to him as he has been to us. Well, actually, we've been to ourselves. But we can't see that. Why? Because we're going to a church today that's not going to tell you about love. They're going to be pushing basically the norm, the status quo. That little stuff they talk about God don't mean a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I've watched us. And I am not just talking about you. I'm talking about me too. That's as big a hypocrite as we can be. But we call them minor things. But those things aren't minor. Those things are major. They affect major things. They got major outcomes and consequences. Well, I rest my case because of where we are. In the churches today, they're going to tell you about Jesus and God and come to church and come to church. Come to church and give your tithes. They talking all kind of stuff. Stuff that was put together by the powers that be. Now I'm not saying, wait a minute, let me just put it to you this way. If you, let me look at you, ladies and gentlemen. If you are not listening to the Spirit of God, you as an individual are not listening to the Spirit of God, you have no concept of truth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I mean by that. I've been out here for at least 40 years. I mean, actually out here in America. And I've been serving as a one who can see. Now, when I say one who can see, what do I mean? I mean, I know that every human being on the face of the earth needs food in order to survive. And everybody on earth are here needing food to survive. Now, I know if that is the case, I don't care what the situation really is today. I know it is not a complicated factor at all to assure that every individual on earth have access available to them, unlimited and unrestricted access to food. Now, I know that. Now, I don't know how many of you know that. But if I know that, why should I listen to you who don't know that? Why should I listen to you who are not concerned about that enough to do something about it? Huh? Tell me, why should I listen to you? I know that every individual on this earth require clothing and shelter. Now, some of them might want to love to be naked, but require clothing and shelter. I know this. And I know that the resources available to make that stuff make it possible, I know it. Plain as day. How come, do you know that? Do you know that? Well, if you know that, why aren't you standing up to make sure that there are no people that are homeless? So you must have don't know that. Or what is it that allows you, manipulates you, and say it's okay for people? Is that what you're getting at church? Yeah, obviously, because you've been going to church all the time. At least I've been watching you go to church. I've been going with you. And it's been existing. It hasn't gone any place. Listen to you. And listen to me. I know that education is a good thing. I know that it aids people to be better at whatever it is that they've been given to do, so that when they contribute into this process of creating and bringing out of these resources that God has given, all of those things that we say we need and we want and we desire, so that we, the brothers and the sisters, we, the family, can be blessed by the glory of God through us being godliness to one another. Hey, I know that. Do you know that? Are they teaching you that in church? Is Osteen teaching you that in church? Is he telling you that you are just an individual and that's the only thing that matters? Well, it matters, my friends, but that's only 50% of it. The other 50% is the collective. How can you live heavenly in the middle of hell? It won't happen. Not you. No. Not only that, hell ain't gonna put up with you. That's why Dr. King and Malcolm and Gandhi and all those guys are gone. And the rest of us are still here because we were playing games. We were faking it, trying to make it. And that's what we've been doing. And this thing that happened with George Floyd, that is to let us know, let the whole world know what's going on. To let us know that we who sit around here, allowing this stuff to exist, continue to exist, finding some kind of excuse, we are faking it, trying to make it. But as I say, I see this as Judgment Day. You better make up your mind. Wow. Now this is a Sunday morning. I'm going to tell you, all you are hearing now is Joe Biden. Even the Republicans are talking Joe Biden. Now I ask you this. Are the Republicans talking about health care for everybody, unlimited and unrestricted, from the womb to the tomb? They talking about it? So why would they be going to Joe Biden? Is Joe Biden talking about it? Is the Democratic Party talking about it? Is the church talking about it? Well, I ask you, why should I listen to any of that if I know that at one time or another, any one of us, anywhere, at any place, at any time might require some kind of health care? And we should have access to it if it's available. And it is available. And being available, it's eligible. Everyone is eligible for it. I see that. I see how that is done. So why should I listen to anybody who does not? Do you see it? What's the evidence that you see it? What's the evidence that you believe that everybody should have access to health care and education and housing and food? And you might ask, how you gonna do it? You put everybody who benefits from it to work in a career of their own choosing that they might have joy in it that they do. And as a team, you attack with love, dedication, and commitment. And you produce the best. You produce stuff that lasts, not stuff, because you're not selling stuff now. You're making stuff for one another. You're giving it your best. We don't have these little trinkets. It doesn't cost any money. There's no debt, no loans, no money, international monetary fund, no central banks, no rich people with stacks of money. That means nothing. Everybody's rich. Why? Because you have heavenliness right here on earth. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking to you about heaven right now. And you sitting there talking about, are you going to vote for Biden? Then you might say, well, you take an oath that says you're going to govern by the Constitution of the United States. Hey, somebody said there was one time, it was on a paper that said black people weren't human, wasn't completely human. Bound, all of these things. All it took was some writing on paper or you erase it off paper. So, hey, it's no big mystery about the Constitution. That which works stays. That which prevents and causes pain and suffering, erase it. And that's why I'm asking people to speak in the presidential election of 2020 and write in this program. No, when I say write in Eddie Marcus, I'm saying to all of you, write in this program that I'm sharing with you right now. But I also know that this program will not be successful, cannot be successful, and God will not make it be successful unless you, the people, empower it, just like you've empowered this hell we're living in today. Yes, Donald Trump might have been sitting here as a product of your seed and what you have sown, but it's only to be a reflection, to be that mirror view of yourselves. How many can see themselves when they look in the mirror? Looking at Donald Trump, you should see yourselves. You know you. That's why the senators ran and didn't have nothing to do with Donald Trump, because they couldn't face themselves. They said, oh, I don't know anything. And they just went walking away. I don't know anything. Yeah, well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is also how the church is exposed through what happened with George Floyd. It is shown as being those sitting around with the camera. It is shown as those who are saying, get up, this is wrong. It has been exposed as that which is necessary for evil to succeed. And that is when good people do nothing. That's the category that all of us, the rest of us in the world, good and bad, all of us allow, working together, allow evil to prevail. All of us. All of us. There's none that's excluded. The ones that are, you know it because they're doing it. They're standing up. They're telling you this stuff is wrong, but they're not just telling you. They're ending up going to jails and stuff, see, ladies and gentlemen, because too many people stand up and tell you this and that and require of you to do this and that. Stuff that they themselves do not. And so the example speaks louder than anything they say. Because if they were standing up, think changes would be made and they wouldn't be building statues of you. People would be living like you have shown them is a way to freedom. That's how they would be living. Well, I guess I'm talking too long on the Sunday morning. I hope I have not offended you beyond repair. But I do hope that I have shared something with you. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, when you have been conditioned a certain kind of way, it's not easy to break. Right now, as I said, I've been doing this here for 40 years. And today, my wife of at least 36 of those years, she does not listen to my videos. The only time she would ever hear me speak if she happened to be at an event on an occasion where I'm speaking. Nope, she doesn't listen to me on Facebook, YouTube, or anything. And her reason is because I talk about God. And she was raised different about God. And that's okay. All of you probably were raised different by God. I'm sure you were. The only ones that's not raised that way, you know, even though it might be different fashions, but the only ones that's not of those categories are the ones that God has touched. The ones that God has touched. Now, they don't see stuff the way you do. That's why you heard me talking about heaven like this here. You heard me talk about peace and prosperity and freedom and joy of life and the fulfillment of dreams. You hear me talking about achieving all of this without lying, without cheating, without stealing, without killing, without having to create an environment for racism and bigotry and hatred. You hear me talk about that, and I'm telling you how to achieve that. And ladies and gentlemen, for 40 years, not one church has said, I understand. Not one church member has said, I appreciate that, and those are the steps I'm going to take. There has been not one individual that says, I support that particular plan, and I'm going to be an instrument of it. In 40 years. And what you believe in, I'm saying what you believe in. I don't care what it is that you believe in. All of this hell exists. Now, you see some beauty in it for those of you who are benefiting from these crimes and violence that's being perpetrated on other people that causes them pain and suffering. Yeah, you know, some of you might think it's okay. But all of this is still a result of that. And you talk about heaven, you talk about God, you talk about being great, and you stay away from it. Why should I listen to powers that be and people that's satisfied with this? And why do I have to be murdered and killed if some of you start listening to me? Why you want to free me like that? Look, I'm going to let you go right now, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason that I'm sitting here talking to you, standing here talking to you, is because When God chose me, just like he chose George Floyd to be an example to the world, he chose me not to die at that moment. See, I was in the same situation, but I put myself in the situation. George Floyd didn't put himself in that situation. He found himself in that situation. I put myself in the situation, and God came to my rescue. God was not like the people who said, stop, don't do that. You're killing him. God was not like the people who were taking camera pictures. God was not like that. God immediately intervened. That's like if anybody that was led by the Spirit of God at that point in time. But that's the same thing about the rest of the world. If anybody's led by the Spirit of God at any point, any place, anywhere in the world, this is what would happen. They'd stand up against it. And right now in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, there's one that's standing up against it, and it is me. And I'm glad to be standing up against it. But I'm not trying to punish anybody. I know we just doing what we know to do. I know that. And it's bad for some. It's terrible for some. But it is what it is. You either want to change it and you change it, or you sit down and enjoy the pain. I ain't sitting down and enjoying no pain. So ladies and gentlemen, when you go to those polls, if you can identify and with the spirit of love like this, if you can identify with the spirit of love like this that I share with you, one more time, if you can identify with the spirit of love like this I share with you, then write my name in. You don't have to vote for what they put before you, a chance to fall on down deep into hell, or to just slow it up a little bit, descend a little slower. No, ladies and gentlemen, you can change the course of this ship, and that's what I'm asking you to do. That's what God is giving you an opportunity to do, to vote, to stand up for yourselves. Where are you? Are you with going to hell? Are you with just taking it a little slow? Or are you with change? We'll tell. Goodbye.